Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Hello guys, you're welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About Tomorrow. Obviously, I never do this alone. I have with me here, introduce yourself, say your name.
I'm Petrina.
Yeah, obviously Petrina. She's not being stubborn today. We are grateful
there's
for don't scatter the
between
sequence. Today we'll be talking about a very, very interesting topic, and believe me, you want to stick around. Petrina, let's get the story. Just fill us in.
Alright, so an Ikeja sexual offences and domestic violence court has sentenced Feyi Daniels, founder of arraigned Christian ministry, to life imprisonment for raping a church member. Rahman Oshodi, who was the trial judge, on Friday found the cleric guilty of rape and sexual assault of 2 female worshippers. Daniels was arraigned by the Lagos state government over rape, attempted rape, and sexual assault of his church members. The cleric faced trial on an amended 4-count charge bordering on rape, sexual assault, and attempted rape. The pastor was accused of sexually assaulting 3 of his church members at his residence in Lekki and on his church premises in Ikeja.
We're throwing it open to the whole house. This is a very, very sensitive topic. Very sensitive topic, in that most of us at one point in our lives we've heard of somebody, or we know somebody that has been raped or sexually abused. One thing that, first of all, introducing the topic that we want us to talk about is how, for the most part in this part of the world, sexual abuse is talked about in very harsh tones, even in the part, on the part of the abuser. They feel there's this,
the victims or the abuser.
The victims rather, they feel there's this need to keep quiet and keep silent. How do we handle that as a society? Because it's prevalent.
Because I think it's usually the stigma that comes with it.
The stigma, okay.
Because if everybody wanted to talk about whether they've been abused or not, what you will hear will be like the chorus of bees, just buzzing. The statistics, I've had 1 out of 8, I've had 1 out of 4. I think I've even had 1 out of 3, depending on categories. They say rape, abuse, molestation. The people who are experts know how they use the terms. But they've said that sometimes even 1 out of 4. I think that's the last I had. 1 out of 4 have been abused one way or the sometimes even verbally. So, but people, I mean, how many people want to come out and say somebody touched me or I was raped? To avoid that stigma,
and again, they fear not just the stigma alone, the fear of what people will say. You know, sometimes people will say, what took you there? You understand?
That's another conversation. Victim blaming, Abi.
Yes.
Okay.
Because of what people will say, like, definitely they are going to put the blame on the lady or the victim.
Yeah, you know that with women, you're supposed to keep your virginity till you marry. So I think that's another thing. When you have been raped, you've lost your virginity.
Okay. More like part of what keeps your, or in this society, the value of a woman.
Yes.
They will say, okay, she's
pure. So when that has happened.
But again, I know we'll come to Pastor Feyi's own case in particular. But the point of what took you there is not a point that can be always deleted or erased from the conversation. No. Even in the eyes of the law, liability is not always imputed to the person who committed the crime. Okay, I give you a very classic example. You left the keys to your house in the lock. Maybe you even left the door open and you went to sleep, and money goes missing. From the letter and by law, I think there's a name it's called, but it's about vicarious liability anyway.
Contributing negligence.
Contributing negligence, yes. They will say your negligence contributed to the commission of the crime.
That is a new one.
How is it that you are not, I'm not blaming, please, we'll come to this, but how is it that, how do we now take it that you didn't undertake this action in order to provoke or,
but that,
that
liability does not exculpate the
offender substantially.
It does not. Wholesomely, it does not. I mean, your abode is your abode, whether it's locked or open. It is your space, okay? So whoever, in fact, if it happens in the night, it's called burglary. If it happens in the day, breaking an entry.
Okay.
Doesn't matter whether you break or you open the door.
Mm.
So it's an offense. Okay, so it stays there. But on the issue of this rape is a heinous offense, and it's a heinous offense because society categorizes it under capital offense, and as such, it's one that comes with a lot of filth, psychological filth, and a complete distortion of
Obviously, on the part of the victim.
of the human person. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's a whole lot. That is why Section 357 of the Criminal Code defines rape where a man have a carnal knowledge or has a carnal knowledge with a woman without her consent or with her consent, but when such consent is procured by fraud, force, intimidation, deception, it is still rape.
Yeah.
Now, the concept of rape is that when a woman forces the man, when a man forces a woman,
Or otherwise.
and yes, or the wife, and there's penetration,
Or otherwise, I said.
and yes, hold on, I'll get there. And this penetration, is done forcefully. Okay, forcefully. That's one part of it. Now you also obtain her consent.
That's what I'm doing. I want you to learn.
Obtain her consent by deception.
Deception.
Yeah, where you impersonate the husband. Okay, and have carnal knowledge of her. Either using voodoo or whatsoever to take the husband away, get into the house, put on the husband's dress, and have carnal knowledge of her. When she gives such consent, it's still regarded as rape. Now, if you deceive her, okay, by any means, it's rape. If you threaten her under duress and force of intimidation, or you say you kill her and she yields,
For clarity's sake, sir, when you
it
say
is still
deceive,
rape.
when you say deceive, does it mean I present myself to be something I am not?
Yes,
And she believes
yes, she believes
more like
same
lying.
to be true.
Oh,
She believes same to be true, or she believes you to be the husband by virtue of deception.
not
Or
necessarily
fraud.
the husband. What I'm picturing now is maybe I tell her I am a big shot, real estate mogul, all those kind of lies. I
Mhm.
cook it up, present
Does it
a self
count?
that doesn't exist, and because of that sole reason, she permits me to have carnal knowledge of her.
No, that's consent.
That's
pure
consent.
We're
Okay.
talking about
Okay.
you maybe disguising, then she believing you to be who you are not in terms of who she is. You put yourself in the position of the husband, for example,
Okay.
and she so believes same to be
Or
true.
let's use identical twins as an
And then-
example.
and then have
If
the-
you are a
that's-
twin now, your twin brother can go and have.
Because
You
obviously,
understand?
So
Because of
to take the conversation further is that under rape, okay, there must be force, okay, and to determine rape, the court will have to do a lot of things. One, the court will have to look at whether the vaginal walls were reddened, whether there were bruises, whether her dress, her body, and all that, struggles and all that. That is why a rape victim is advised not to take her bath before she reports.
okay, going to the yes,
Yes, like that.
yes,
So
yes,
the
yes,
utter distress.
yes.
Finding her in
Yes.
utter distress as a result of the struggles and all that. Now, during medical examination, her vaginal walls are examined because, according to science, 3 months after a woman is raped, the signs are still there, the traces are still there.
3 months.
Yeah, 3 months after. So you can always infer and determine scientifically that there was forceful penetration. Now, forceful penetration is one thing. Another thing is whether the defendant so accused was actually the person. We must draw a nexus between the defendant and the victim. If it's established that he was raped, fine. It's another question whether it was the defendant that actually raped her. In some cases, the spermatozoa found in her is tested and same is confirmed to corroborate with the adverse party. So in that case, there are a lot of scientific operations. But the truth is that scientific examination or documentation will actually make known all this.
Okay.
Now, if during a woman can actually consent to sex, but if at the middle of it she changes her mind and she says stop and you continue, it becomes rape from that point where you continue. So you have half a sexual consent and half a rape. So in the total summation,
that is very
you rape her.
interesting.
Yeah.
In total summation, you rape her. Now, if in the process of having carnal knowledge of her, she resisted you, she resisted up to a point where she is herself and lubricated, that lubrication is consent. At the beginning, she resisted it, but as time goes on, she gave her consent as a result of lubrication. Scientifically proven, it is said that a woman cannot lubricate under forceful penetration. So that is why the vaginal walls are ready. So if the vaginal walls are not ready, what it means is that she was not raped. She gave consent by virtue of lubrication.
But isn't that like a natural response?
Bodily function, do you understand?
No, it's not natural response because rape is force and the adverse party's refusal. That is why it is said that a man cannot rape a woman. Before now, the law is so. Because the man needs his mental stability to gain erection. Okay? A man that is being forced to sleep with a woman cannot, under that circumstance, gain erection. You understand me? Conversely, a woman who is being forced under such circumstance could not have lubricated if she does not desire the penis of the adverse party.
What if that's at the beginning she did not?
Some men by men just direction.
So at the point where she, if she resisted all through and penetration came in by force, it is rape. Some women will say they don't want, they resist, but they actually want. It happens. So when that resistance is short-lived as a result of her lubrication and consent, she has fully yielded. So you cannot also, by transactional sex, consent to sexual intercourse, but because you were not well remunerated or paid as a result of that activity, then you turn around and go to court and say that you were raped. Whereas you gave consent was because the money paid was not enough, or nothing was paid at all. That is a breach of contract. And you cannot even enforce that under contract because you cannot, illegal contracts are not enforceable under our law. So the agreement, no, even if there's documentation, the agreement to have sexual intercourse for the purposes of payment in return is an illegal contract under the law. Yes. So it cannot even be enforced. Now under rape, it cannot be enforced. You can't go to court and say he raped me. The reason I say he has raped me is because the money we agreed, he refused to pay me the money. Therefore, it's now rape. So that's an afterthought.
To ask the question, if in the process of being raped, from the get-go, it was you exerting force, trying to, and in the process of penetration, lubrication happens.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I say lubrication is consent.
So regardless of what started, regardless of how
lubrication couldn't have occurred if there is absolute resistance.
And that has been proven to be a fact.
Of course.
What if she got tired of resisting?
Yeah, if she got tired, he will penetrate her forcefully and it will show that the vaginal walls are ready.
Okay.
You cannot tell me that
that's very
you have resisted to a point where you are lubricating. Lubricating means you are watered.
You are there for it.
Yeah, it's from the mind. You understand? So what it means is that the mind has acculturated the activity and has plummeted it to a point where you are yielding by virtue of the overflow of lubrication. Lubrication means that there's an invitation to passage.
But I've heard of women, like say, ejaculating.
Yes.
Out of like during rape. Like
yes,
they were raped. They didn't want to.
They didn't want to. No,
Yes.
you see, the circumstances also determine. That's what they call circumstantial evidence. In court, a woman who was forcefully raped, you will know from the beginning of the trial. The arrow is always towards the fact that she never gave in at any point. Now, it is for the prosecution to hold on to that line with evidence. If you allow a smart defense counsel to intercept that line and begin to paint the victim as one who premeditated her ejaculation, who under her privacy and mental thought had envisaged the defendant's penetration and had accepted it and had laughed over it in her imagination, if the defense counsel pulled that through and have evidence to show that the woman at some point told him to wait, she went into the bedroom, drank water, took a lubricant, or came back and said, okay, you can now go.
But for this whole conversation, I mean, for the court for the trial of Bishop Feyi to have lasted this long, and the matter now coming to this point, obviously have read about his members, some of his members maybe, saying that this was all a frame-up and that they were going to appeal if I said correctly, and that they believe he's going to be vindicated.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, in light of the matters you've raised, there's a possibility that this could have indeed, that evidence was brought to court,
yes,
which the court couldn't have overlooked.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because proving rape is never an easy thing.
It's not
Yes.
easy.
But for them to have gone through the whole process to prove that indeed, I mean, it wasn't one person, it wasn't two, I think about 3 of them.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if the bishop appealed and said he wasn't even in town at that time. Maybe there was no strong alibi. So, but if everything adding up came to this point, again, we can now broaden the discussion to say, what are the factors, member of the church, eyewitnesses, and this happened. Maybe one of the victims to didn't speak up until the darling that came from
criminal record.
Is that Abiokut also?
Yes.
That came and it happened to her and she had to report it or something like that.
Yes.
So, I mean, how generally do relationships dovetail from hello, hi, how are you doing, in the case of pastor and member, come for counseling or something, and gradually it's snowballing and somebody is not picking the signs to say this could lead to something bad.
Under a religious setting in our clan, people believe that the shepherd, is sent by God. There's a general notion, except for some cynics who do not absolutely agree. But for those who consent fully to worshiping God and all that, they believe that the man of God hears from God and that he's expected to live by the tenet of the Holy Bible. Okay. Now, these persons who are morally deficient, some of them, they take the advantage. Rape strives on authority.
Okay.
Yes, it strives on
some types of
salient. Yes.
Some types of it.
Yes, a superior person who is referred to as the assailant. Taking advantage of the victim, who is the prey. Okay, so there's a level of authority. And sometimes, like one of the girls said that while she was being raped by the pastor was speaking in tongues. Sometimes they could water it down by saying that God asked them to undertake the action for a purpose. And unfortunately, some members will believe it.
Even if it is directly contradictory to what...
Some members will not know what is contradictory to scripture or not.
Because
they are framed already to believe that the man of God does no wrong and all that. So at the end of the day, you have this kind of situation. But I don't like accentuating the exceptions of rape. I like to talk about the fact that rape is condemnable. Any act, we call it rape because they are adults. If they were not adults, we call it defilement. Yeah, we call it defilement. Now, whether defilement or rape, it is an action that puts the other party in total condemnation. What it means is that the victim becomes worthless to himself or herself. And at the end of the day, what happens in a society is quite... Now, there's a part of society that sustain and repress actions. Okay. They repress the police or the prosecution from carrying out action. Now, they want you to keep quiet. There are some landlord associations. There are some landlord
That come
associations.
together to threaten
They will
victims.
assume jurisdiction to hear a rape case in a place somewhere in Lagos. I kicked against landlord association when they assume jurisdiction to hear a rape case and settle it, and I told them that you have no jurisdiction whatsoever. It's only the law court and it's the high court, and this matter must go there. On no account should you allow landlord association, cooperative association in the neighborhood to, because what they do is that they will summon the girl and they will start asking, what did you wear to the place?
Yes.
Why did you go there? The guy will stand there, you will never see the victim.
Which raises the question of victim blaming.
Yes.
Where do we draw the line?
We'll draw the line by knowledge, by community taking a decision that once there's a rape case, in Lagos State, for example, once there's a, you must report. You must report to the police. Even when you report to the police, you must follow up. In fact, in Lagos, the best place to report is at Alausa, not even the police. Report to Alausa. The what do you call it now? The violence against women section.
Okay, there are people that will champion the case there.
Yes. You report to them. Don't report to the police, please, because the police have a tendency to also downplay.
Obviously,
look at the girl and say,
this is reality. I've heard stories of rape victims coming, and the first thing they ask, what do you say they do there?
Yes.
There was a case I did at Abuleba where they raped this young girl. There were two. One of them had a phone recording it, while one was raping her. When that one was done, he gave the phone to the other, and the other one went and did the same thing. So I did that case, and the two of them were sent to Kirikiri. Okay, a space of 9 months, the case lasted. There are other ones, there are many. Okay, this society have that problem. People rape people. Most times in areas where they live in very close attachments. You face me, I face you.
Exactly.
Rape is most perpetrated.
Exactly.
Hardly will you find a very rich man's child or daughter being raped. It's not. It's
there is easy access in those places.
Yes, in those places, and they do that a lot. When you read the papers, you see all that. So our society is repleted with that particular action.
Another question I'd like to throw open is the reality of, I have seen it, I've experienced it firsthand. I've seen cases where there are, landlord's son, the tenant's daughter, uncle, in-law, and the first response is, Talutigbo, in translation, who has heard, don't tell anybody.
Yes.
Don't tell anybody, across board. What can we do as a society to deal with that? Don't tell anybody, because of stigma, like earlier said, is one of the reasons why it is thriving in our society. There are people that they see these uncles, they still come around for December parties, they just keep it
sometimes mothers and women in neighborhood want it kept in secret.
They avoid stigma. But I think
you
that
as a lady, if you don't want that stigma to remain in you, to be eating you up, it's better you voice it out. If you can't, if your mother don't want you to voice it out, maybe you can relate it to your pastor or any influential person that you know you can.
That's another very
usually
it may not be risky.
It may not be risky. To pastor will want.
Because this case study in
there are still good pastors now.
obvious.
I know, but let me tell you the natural response of a pastor. A pastor is one that wants peace, perpetual peace. A pastor does not necessarily project justice.
Not all of them, sir.
Yeah, majorly. I'm not saying majorly.
I know.
They will rather that we pray for members and all that. And I'm telling you, many pastors, except for a few who are radical, who will say, you see this case, we must report.
So the question David had asked was about what to do and where to draw the line. So I think that, let's talk about tomorrow. The way to deal with this thing for the future really is to consider how parents can begin to equip their children, their daughters. How do you tell if Uncle Peter or so and so person is crossing the line? What do you do where they shouldn't touch you, how they shouldn't carry you, how they shouldn't hug you, what they shouldn't do with you. It begins from there. That awareness must be created.
Yes.
That's the first thing. Then, secondly, again, I don't entirely agree with the fact that, of course, what in a man plays out. When I look at the case of this pastor, for example, it couldn't be said that it was a one-off thing. Obviously, there's been one victim, two victims. So clearly, he has a problem he hasn't dealt with.
Yes.
And he has gone to attempt to provide leadership for people, especially spiritual leadership, which requires that you, the person providing leadership, should be reasonably, above board. Yes, exactly. So I recall a time actually when I was at a conference, and the organizers told one of the ladies to take food or something to the guest of honor who had come. He had gone to his hotel. So the lady came to me and said, Cyril, I would never do this. This is after 10. I beat to 10. If anything happened, what will they say?
Yes.
Wouldn't they say that I walked into this thing? Whereas, by the turn of our conversation, she shouldn't be blamed. But again, I like the wisdom she demonstrated.
Obviously.
Everybody has a part to play. Because you see, this thing is, in the end, when we talk rape, it's not something you talk about Afghanistan. It involves somebody. And so if the woman does not want to fall victim, I believe there are things women can also definitely do. Because yes, I believe that. I think we were taught about something in law they call reasonable expectation of privacy.
Yes.
But it doesn't apply to a victim only. It applies to the person who has the capacity to apply restraint in making sure that I don't present myself as somebody who is, like they say, how you dress is how you also address. If we take that off the table, we may not be covering the whole picture the way it ought to be covered. But for this man's own case, if his members are sincerely as a block, if all members are coming together to say, we believe he was framed, and he truly wasn't framed, then we are now dealing with a bigger and larger problem. Because of course, I mean, it's a social issue, right?
Yes.
But if indeed, maybe there's something we don't know about the matter that they know, and they feel that they can vindicate him, why not? But if in reality, this man, and that it means that now we are dealing with something more complicated and more complex than we can imagine, because I can't think of how if a leader was indeed did this sort of thing, it is probably there are people that he did it to that we may not even hear of, because only 3 came out. And so how are people now coming out to say we are for him and that we believe he's being framed?
I find it quite improbable that he was framed. Very improbable. Why should he walk into the temptation? Didn't the devil frame up Jesus when he was tempted after he had fasted for days? With food, yes. So with food, I don't think that idea holds water, but I think it's a ground of appeal that they want to use and not. The truth is that the offense is one that comes with serious penalty, whatever sin that. Of course, they will bring a motion to stay execution, and then they are going to, but it will be in custody anyway. They will now file an appeal. Now the court of appeal will determine whether or not he committed the offense. But the truth is that you have witnesses. Why should a member of your church come together to allege
something as
why?
It's a very serious.
They were not forced to come to that church. They are members. They have seen that there's an activity going on. I'm not convicting him. The court have done that. You understand? But I'm saying it's improbable to say that he was framed. There is, you will always have the people that support you even in times of difficulties. People will always be on your side, and people will also be against you. Sometimes people that are on your side are also there for economic reasons and other reasons. Okay, so but the truth is that the court will see to it through, and then we will have something to deal with this. Because I laugh when people say our court don't work. It's because you are not there. You don't go there. I laugh a lot when they say our court work more than even some of the best jurisdiction you desire to travel to. It's when you get in that you understand that our court works.
So
Right.
we can
No,
trust them
when
to
they
see.
say our courts don't work, I know what they're talking about, barrister. It's not within this matter. If you tie elections to these rape cases, miracles will begin to happen.
Yeah.
So
Our court even works better in
It works in
election.
some areas. not
Our court
all.
even work better in election.
If you tie election matter to these rape
doesn't.
cases, we will
It
see
doesn't.
Okay,
something
let's go on a short break. Don't go anywhere. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. It's still Let's Talk About Tomorrow, and we're still talking about the rape case that we started with before. Now, I said something when we went on the break about how I believe one of the things we can do as a society to address the prevalence of all these rape cases, and now they continually multiply, is educating our kids early about their sexuality.
Especially the boys.
Why are you putting emphasis? I believe across board.
Because most of the time we
Mm.
hear, oh, don't wear this thing. Parents talking to their daughters.
Mhm.
Or in fact, aunties, uncles, don't wear this thing. Don't go to this place. But you hardly hear them talking to the boys. Don't touch a girl in this place.
Yes.
Don't do this. Don't, if a girl says no, don't touch her. You hardly hear them talking to boys. So that's why I said especially boys.
It's true. They should talk to the boys too.
Okay.
It's good that they educate them for, let's say, at their early stage.
Okay. So educating them in the early stage. What may I have to say about that is, I had heard a lady say something, that's why I'm saying this. She said it that most of what moves a guy in terms of sex is what he sees.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fact, you can agree with me, I think.
Yes, I agree.
Now, if you agree with me, that's what he sees. A woman is the one that God created with physical aesthetics that can easily, that are eye-catching. So if they put a bit of emphasis on what you wear as a,
It's also not wrong.
it's also
It's
in
wrong.
itself,
Very
It's
wrong.
the balance.
No.
it's not wrong.
Most
I
of
am
these
of the
guys
opinion.
that
Very wrong.
involve themselves in rape case,
Mm.
it has nothing to do with what the lady in question is wearing.
Not what
No,
she-
there are
There's a case of-
exceptions.
It's
No,
not any
there are
exception because
exceptions.
if you're
Petrina,
going
I
to say,
disagree.
hold on, if you're going to say that, that means that a woman walking on the road naked can be, or let's say a woman that, she's mentally challenged.
Mm.
She can be raped and nobody
You've
will
not
say.
heard the stories.
A 6-year-old
That's
girl
what I'm
can be
saying.
raped.
That's what you're saying. That
8
it's
years
okay
old
for
girl
a man
can
to
be
rape
raped.
her.
No, I'm not
Or they
saying it is
usually rape
okay.
them. So
I'm saying
It's not justified.
how do they
it is
dress?
not justified, yes, but like I told you before, I am of the opinion that we know that there are crazy people in the world. So if the scenario I gave, I heard it in driving schools, the first thing they tell you is when driving, assume every other person is crazy and you are the only sane person. It doesn't mean every other person is literally crazy.
Yes.
It just means that you should
Take responsibility
take
for
responsibility
your own
as
space.
much as you can for your own. So if I have a daughter now, there are some certain things she wouldn't wear, not because I don't want her to be free or whatever, what they will tag us as abusing her right and not,
It's
you get what I'm
okay,
trying to
but
say.
no matter how much responsibility you want to take, there is still a possibility
But if
of
we-
it happening.
People keep saying that the woman must dress in a particular way. And what we'll be saying invariably is that the man there is an animal, cannot control himself.
Yes.
Animals exist.
Self-control
That's what
is
we
important.
should
You see, if assuming but not considering that the girl is not properly dressed in the expectation of the man, okay, or assuming but not considering that she's dressed in that way to attract men, and all the men there decided that they will never be attracted, or they will never, fall for whatever she's doing. She'll get tired of it. So for me, I think it's not about what you are wearing. It's the mind of the rapist.
Mind of the man.
The mind.
So
But I'm saying, if they choose to go naked, you shouldn't choose to rape.
there should be a responsibility to.
Yeah, so I think that we can stand in the middle of the road, which is to say that men must demonstrate self-control.
Yes.
And in the case of the cleric in question, for those of us who read the Bible a bit more, self-control is listed in the Bible as a fruit of the Spirit,
Yes.
which is a mark of a mature person,
Mm.
right? Whether male or female. Self-control should make a man to know that not everything he sees that is seductive or appealing is for him. All right, so he walks away. If he's single, he stays. If he's married, his wife is his only partner in that sense. Then for the women also, there must be a reasonable there's a reason why you have parts of your body that are sensitive. All right, that you don't, that people normally, I could shake a lady's hand, but I can't touch too much of her body. Is that not so? Those parts are, yes, because those parts are, even for her, they are
all private parts.
Yes, all right. So exposing those parts is a way of just saying what is private now. It's their right. I'm not impeding it. But when they are not, when they are not so private anymore, I've been to a place where they said there is no molestation here. We are all adults. I have a choice to be there or not to be there. Okay, so the rapist, nonetheless, a rapist will take will in his perverted imagination, what a woman wears does not really matter.
Where did you go? Where did you go to?
You see, so the point I've been laboring so far to make is that sometimes you climb, you board a plane. There's where the hostesses are dressed. In fact, I've seen airlines that write at MM2, they write and say, we know that you board our planes because of the way our hostesses look. We understand. There's a reason why bankers employ marketers and they dress in certain ways. If you want to tell me that the way a lady dresses may not be a contributory factor, that may not be totally correct. But what we're saying is that both men and women have a role to play in self-restraint, in self-control, in taking responsibility for making sure, for making sure that what they think, where they go, and what they do is something that does not lead in any case or in any way to sexual harassment, defilement, or molestation.
But you see, that thought has not in any way reduced provocative exposure even in churches. Assuming but not considering that this man, this pastor, got attracted to these worshippers because of their provocative dress sense. Assuming but not considering. It will also not avail him because under the law, self-control is one of the, is one of the attributes you should have as a citizen.
Okay.
Yes, that is why you have fundamental rights. Okay. Now, a pastor has been involved in this. It's not just that he raped. There's also what they call trespass to person. He trespassed on them, and he visited their locus in quo by violating them. So, his own case, even though the law did not specify that if you're a leader, your penalty should be more. The law just said rape, life imprisonment, that's a penalty. But for those watching, the penalty for rape is life imprisonment. Because a lot of persons don't know until they are behind the bars that you attempt to rape someone alone, if you are found guilty,
just the attempt,
it's 14 years in prison.
14 years for the attempt.
And you know what prosecutions do? The prosecution, you know what they do? They will bring one count charge for attempt.
Okay.
Then second count charge, actual rape. The moment you succeed in proving rape, you have proved attempt. That's why you're just going for life.
Bye-bye.
Otherwise, it's 14 years, then life imprisonment.
Yes.
So everything is just life.
Is bye-bye.
I don't know what I'm saying. Because
Two-factor
attempted, so, but in a case where you attempted rape, but on the point of penetration, maybe somebody used a mortar to hit you on the head, and you are unable to continue, but you have met all the conditions for penetration to happen. Then the person can go for 14 years imprisonment if it's well established and proven. Otherwise, actual rape, you go for life imprisonment. And life imprisonment I'm talking about is not one prison in the United States or one prison in the first world countries. We're talking about a prison in a third world country.
So everything about the consequence of rape
life
should be enough to even stop anybody if you
yes,
think about
because
it.
it's a complete foreclosure of life.
It ends it.
Yes, you are foreclosing your life. That is how you are ending your. Because in Nigeria, at the long run, the person will just be there. Maybe after 40 years or 35 years, maybe an amnesty picks the person away because it's life imprisonment actually. But you and those who have been sentenced to die by hanging, there's no much difference since they are not hanging them because there's no hangman. So you are just, like in the same league. You understand? And the consequences are not.
They are emphatic.
Not.
So
I think people should stay away from that momentary enjoyment. That will take you to.
Wait.
Yes. Look at the pastor, for example. If the Court of Appeal decide to affirm the judgment of this ruling, and maybe the Supreme Court also affirm the judgment, what it will mean is that ministry will not, because life imprisonment is going to go there and he will be there for as long as possible.
He is alive.
The thought of not even being able to go to anywhere when I want to go is scary enough. So
it's scary.
Anybody listening, you are contemplating the thought.
You can't eat the kind of food you want to eat
just
in prison.
Just
the kind of food they cook there, the kind of food they cook there, you cannot attempt it. You can't even attempt it. So you will not get the best of life.
I like the sound of it.
So yeah, it's scary. So I just want the listener to know that.
Yes.
This thing, the one you see a woman, you go and hit her at her buttocks.
You think it is funny.
Then you think you can corner her. You are cornering your life.
There are consequences to action.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you are going to find it very. And you see, rape is as old as humanity. The first rape in the world from record of scripture happened in Genesis, the beginning. The beginning of time. Okay, if that account is anything to go by our listenership, for some of us who believe in that account, it's as early as man itself. So, and from time immemorial, the punishment had been that in some culture, there's no trial.
Castration.
They just hand down. In some culture, it's death by guillotine. You know what guillotine means? It's a machine that beheads a convict. If a person is sentenced to die by guillotine, they tie him, they take his neck and put on the machine and it slices it off once. You understand? There are jurisdictions where, in Australia, is life imprisonment. In some jurisdictions, it's death by hanging. In some jurisdictions, it's death through lethal injection.
Australia Constitution.
You understand? So they give the person injection, the drug goes to the brain and destroys the brain.
I've heard the appeal of castration.
Yes, castration also is part of it. They make the person, they castrate the person so that will not be able to have sexual intercourse for life. You understand? So this thing we call rape is very serious. That is why I frown at communities that, assume jurisdiction to hear a rape case. In Lagos State, you can also be, punished when you are seen as an enabler. An enabler is someone who did not rape, but provided his room for someone to be raped. An enabler is someone who saw the action, but did not alert neighbors. Yes,
there are consequences.
It's 3 years imprisonment. It's 3 years imprisonment.
Wow.
Yes. You can be an enabler.
Wow.
You live in the upstairs, you are looking at the action going on, you did not report. There are evidence to the effect that.
So if I see it and mind my business, there are consequences.
You cannot mind your business when a crime is being committed. That is why you are empowered by the Constitution to arrest. A citizen can arrest. You can arrest someone. The only thing you cannot prosecute, you hand over to the police.
So people that have friends
come to steal,
and family members and loved ones, that you just say, I'm seeing it, there are consequences.
They are enablers. It's 3 years imprisonment.
Because it's criminal, it's not safe.
Yes. So you as a citizen can arrest. When people go to marketplace to steal, the police station is not in the market. It's not marketer that the people who sell there that will arrest the person. Hand over to the police. These days they keep them jungle justice, which we frown against. But the citizens have the power to arrest and hand over to. I've arrested a lot of people. There are people that defecate on the expressway. I arrested an old man on the expressway to hand him over to the police for prosecution. If you go there now, you see them defecating there. As a citizen, you can stop by arrest as many as possible and take them to the police.
Barrister.
Society must be decent.
We've learned
I've
a
been
lot.
educated.
We've
I
learned
swear,
a lot
like a
today.
lot. It's just like
And
a lecture.
We have come to the
Yeah.
end, sadly. We've come to the end of the conversation. And I'd like to say thank you to Cyril. Thank you, Esther. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Barrister.
joining us.
We also thank you, our viewers. We want to know what you think. You can, tell us in the comment section. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Enterprise TV 7 and follow us across social media at Enterprise TV 7. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.